There comes a moment in life when we finally understand that peace does not come from controlling others, but from mastering ourselves. This truth becomes clear when we feel exhausted from trying to fix people who do not want to change. Stoic wisdom teaches us that real strength grows within our own actions, not in trying to shape someone else's choices. When we shift our focus inward, life opens up in surprising ways. What follows is a simple guide to help you rise through self-focus and inner discipline. There is a deep truth that many people learn only after experiencing disappointment again and again. It is the understanding that no matter how much you care for someone, no matter how much you talk, argue, guide, or push, you still cannot shape another person's choices. You cannot enter their mind and make them think differently. You cannot step inside their heart and make them feel what you want them to feel. You cannot force someone to grow, heal, or improve if their own desire is not present. Stoic thinkers often explained that every person has their own inner world, and that world is built from their own experiences, beliefs, and decisions. This means their actions come from within them, not from your pressure. When we forget this, we get trapped in frustration. We spend our days trying to make someone behave better or treat us fairly or show more effort. But the more we try, the more resistance we face. Instead of feeling appreciated, we feel ignored. Instead of feeling respected, we feel drained. The mind begins to tire because it is fighting a battle it cannot win. But once we accept this truth, peace slowly returns. We stop expecting others to change simply because we want them to. We stop hurting ourselves by placing responsibility for their behavior on our shoulders. Acceptance does not mean giving up. It means understanding the boundary between what is yours and what is theirs. It means recognizing that you do not have the power to transform someone's character. Only they can do that. And sometimes they may never choose to. Accepting this truth saves you from emotional exhaustion. It frees your heart from the weight of unrealistic expectations. It teaches you to love without trying to control. It guides you to allow people to walk their own path, even if it is different from what you hoped. This acceptance becomes the first step toward inner peace. Once you stop trying to control others, a new doorway opens in your life. You begin to see that the only true power you have lies in your own choices. You cannot shape someone else's behavior, but you can shape your own. You cannot decide how others act, but you can decide how you respond. This is the foundation of Stoic strength. It teaches that the world around you is unpredictable, but your interactions are still yours to direct. When you shift your energy away from trying to change others, you free valuable space within yourself. That space gives rise to clarity. You start noticing your own habits, your own reactions, your own inner voice. You begin to understand that real transformation does not come from controlling someone else, but from guiding your own steps. This shift creates power. It reminds you that every small action you take builds your character. When someone disappoints you, you can choose patience instead of anger. When someone disrespects you, you can choose boundaries instead of emotional chaos. When someone refuses to grow, you can choose your own growth instead of sinking to match their level. Every action becomes a chance to build inner discipline. This discipline leads to freedom. Because when you take responsibility for your own behavior, your life becomes more stable. You no longer get pulled into every argument. You no longer feel destroyed by someone else's choices. You no longer lose yourself trying to win battles that are not yours. Your actions become your strength because they are the only things you can truly control. And when you build control over your actions, your emotional world becomes calmer. You begin to respond to life with wisdom instead of impulsiveness. You start to trust your own decisions. This self-trust becomes a shield. It protects your peace. It keeps you steady even when others remain unchanged. In the end, controlling your actions is not weakness. It is mastery. As you learn to control your actions, you start noticing the habits that shape your daily life. Habits form the structure of your character. They decide how you behave, how you think, and how you grow. When you focus on improving your habits, you change the direction of your entire life. Stoic teachings highlight the importance of small daily actions. They believe that greatness is not built through sudden transformation. It is built through steady choices repeated every day. When you focus on others, you lose energy that could be used to improve yourself. But when you shift your focus inward, you begin strengthening the habits that lift you up. You start waking earlier, eating healthier, speaking kindly, thinking clearly, and acting with intention. These habits slowly become natural. They become part of who you are. You may not notice the change in one day, but with time, you begin to feel different. You feel calmer. You feel stronger. You feel more in control of your life. Instead of reacting to every problem, you respond with awareness. Instead of letting others distract you, you stay focused on your path. Improving your habits becomes a way of reclaiming your life. It gives you direction. It gives you confidence. It gives you purpose. And the more you improve, the less interest you have in trying to change others. Because you realize that your energy is too valuable to waste. You realize that growth begins with yourself. And once your habits become strong, your life begins to shift. You start attracting better people. You start making better choices. You start discovering inner strength you never knew you had. The world does not change first. You do. And through this personal change, your life gradually transforms. Your habits shape your outer life, but your thoughts and mindset shape your inner world. This is why working on your thoughts becomes one of the most important steps toward personal peace. The mind is constantly speaking. It tells stories. It creates expectations. It builds fears. It paints pictures of the future and replays memories of the past. If you do not guide your thoughts, they will pull you in every direction. Stoic wisdom teaches that the mind must be observed, not blindly followed. When you watch your thoughts with awareness, you begin to understand their true nature. You notice patterns you never saw before. You realize that many of your fears are only imagination. Many of your worries are only assumptions. Many of your judgments about others come from your own emotional state, not truth. When you shift from trying to change others to understanding your own thoughts, your mind becomes calmer. You begin to separate real problems from imagined ones. You learn to pause before reacting. You learn to breathe when tension rises. You learn to let go of thoughts that do not serve you. This awareness is powerful. It creates space between you and your old reactions. When your mind becomes calm, your decisions become wiser. You stop expecting others to behave the way you want. You stop creating mental battles with people who refuse to change. You begin to protect your inner world by choosing what thoughts you accept and what thoughts you release. You build a mindset that supports peace instead of chaos. You become stronger not because life gets easier, but because your thoughts no longer control you. This strength is quiet but life-changing. It becomes the foundation on which you build your future. It becomes the power that guides your actions with clarity and purpose. And it is this mindset that frees you from the need to control others, allowing you to focus fully on shaping your own life. Once you gain control over your thoughts and actions, you naturally begin to focus on building inner peace. Inner peace is not something you find outside. It is something you grow within yourself. It comes from understanding what truly matters and letting go of what does not. Stoic teachings remind us that peace is the highest form of strength. It is not silence or avoidance. It is not pretending you are fine. It is the calm confidence that grows when you no longer allow external forces to disturb your inner world. Inner peace begins with acceptance. Acceptance of people as they are. Acceptance of situations you cannot control. Acceptance of your feelings, even the painful ones. Once you accept the things you cannot change, the pressure inside your chest starts to fade. You stop fighting unnecessary battles. You stop carrying unnecessary burdens. You stop expecting life to bend to your wishes. Instead, you begin to align yourself with reality. This alignment brings peace. You start choosing calmness over conflict. You start choosing patience over frustration. You start choosing clarity over emotional reactions. You create a safe space within yourself where your spirit can rest. This space becomes your inner home. It becomes the place you return to when life becomes loud. You protect it because you understand how precious it is. And when you build this peace, you naturally stop trying to control others. Because you realize that their chaos is not yours. Their choices are not yours. Their journey is not yours. Your peace becomes your priority. And when you prioritize peace, your whole life changes in meaningful ways. You move with grace. You think with clarity. You speak with intention. And your heart becomes stronger than the storms around you. As your peace strengthens, you start seeing people more clearly. You see them without the filters of your expectations. You begin to understand that every person has their own personality, their own wounds, their own timeline for growth. You learn to let people be who they are. This is not about giving up on them. It is about releasing the unrealistic belief that you can change their nature through force or constant guidance. Stoic teachings emphasize that nothing is more frustrating than trying to control what was never meant for you. People grow at their own pace. Some learn quickly. Some learn slowly. Some never learn at all. And none of this is in your control. When you allow people to be themselves, you free yourself from the weight of disappointment. You stop expecting people to act how you would act. You stop expecting them to understand what you understand. You stop expecting them to give what they cannot give. Acceptance gives you emotional freedom. It helps you see relationships more honestly. It helps you decide who deserves a place in your life and who should stay at a distance. It teaches you that love, friendship, and respect are meaningful only when they come naturally, not when they are forced. When you stop trying to shape others, you gain the strength to protect your peace. You learn to appreciate people without carrying their flaws. You learn to let go when someone's actions harm your well-being. You learn to stay open-hearted without losing yourself. And this understanding becomes a deep form of wisdom. It allows you to move through life with calm awareness. You become someone who observes instead of controls. Someone who understands instead of argues. Someone who accepts instead of demands. And through this acceptance, your life becomes lighter. When you stop trying to force change in others, you start showing change through your own behavior. This becomes a powerful, quiet influence. People may not listen to your words, but they notice your actions. They notice how you treat yourself. They notice how calm you remain during conflict. They notice how you set boundaries without anger. They notice how you rise after setbacks. Stoic wisdom teaches that real influence comes from example, not pressure. When you improve your own behavior, you inspire others without trying. You show them what self-respect looks like. You show them what discipline looks like. You show them what emotional maturity looks like. And some people, seeing your growth, will feel encouraged to grow as well. But even if they do not, your inner development remains valuable. You become someone who moves with intention, someone who speaks with clarity, someone who carries strength in silence. This quiet strength has more impact than any arguments or advice. When you change yourself, you show the world that transformation is possible. You create an atmosphere of growth around you. People feel it. They sense your stability. They sense your calmness. And they respond to it. Some will respect you more. Some will try to match your energy. Some will distance themselves because your growth exposes their unwillingness to grow. All of this is part of the process. What matters is that you continue improving yourself, because your growth is the only growth you can control. And when you show change through your actions, you build a life that reflects your values. You build relationships based on real connection, not pressure. You build confidence that comes from self-mastery. This becomes your power. A power that does not require force. A power that inspires without effort. A power that comes from simply living your truth. As you walk further on the path of self-focus, you begin to notice how important it is to protect your energy. Your energy is more valuable than time, because time is meaningless if you are mentally exhausted. When you allow negativity from others to constantly enter your life, your spirit becomes tired. You become drained. You become disconnected from yourself. Stoic teachings remind us that we must guard our inner world with care. Not everyone deserves access to your mind or emotions. Not every argument deserves your attention. Not every relationship deserves your effort. Protecting your energy does not mean avoiding people. It means choosing where you give your spirit. It means noticing when someone's presence makes you feel tense or small. It means understanding when a situation steals your peace. It means stepping back when someone tries to trap you in drama. Protecting your energy helps you remain stable. It helps you stay centered. It allows you to think clearly instead of reacting emotionally. And as you protect your energy, your life begins to feel lighter. You begin to understand that some people drain your strength because they have none of their own. You begin to see that some problems disappear the moment you stop giving them attention. You begin to realize that peace grows when you stop entertaining negativity. You start choosing calm environments. You start valuing quiet. You start appreciating people who bring light instead of confusion. And this choice becomes a form of self-respect. Protecting your energy allows you to grow. It gives you space to heal. It strengthens your ability to stay focused on yourself. It helps you stand firm in your values. And it teaches you that your inner peace is worth defending at all costs. With your energy protected, your habits improving, and your mindset becoming stronger, you begin to grow every day. Growth does not always feel dramatic. Sometimes it is invisible. Sometimes it is slow. Sometimes it is quiet. But every day, through small actions, you rise. Stoic wisdom teaches that progress happens through steady effort, not sudden change. Even a small step forward is still a step. When you improve one thought, you grow. When you build one good habit, you grow. When you set one boundary, you grow. When you choose calmness instead of anger, you grow. These small decisions may not seem important in the moment, but they shape your future. They build your character. They strengthen your resilience. They teach you that your efforts matter. And the more you grow, the more your life expands. You begin to trust yourself more. You begin to see possibilities you never noticed. You begin to feel lighter because you no longer carry the weight of trying to change others. Your focus shifts inward. You start asking yourself better questions. You start understanding your emotions. You start noticing when to let go and when to hold on. Growth becomes a natural part of your life. Your past no longer controls you. Your fears no longer stop you. Your self-belief becomes stronger. And each day you grow, the world around you feels less threatening. You stop worrying about who approves of you. You stop struggling to save people who refuse to save themselves. You stop shrinking to fit someone else's expectations. You stand tall in your own journey. This kind of growth is powerful because it is built on a strong foundation. It is built on self-focus, discipline, awareness, and peace. And it leads you toward a life that feels more meaningful with each passing day. When you learn to focus on yourself instead of trying to change others, life becomes easier and calmer. You feel a kind of freedom you have never felt before. You stop chasing people. You stop arguing over things that do not matter. You stop wasting energy on fixing situations that are not yours to fix. You move through life with more confidence because you finally understand what you can and cannot control. This understanding brings peace. The pressure you once carried slowly lifts. You no longer blame yourself for other people's choices. You no longer feel responsible for their growth. You no longer attach your happiness to their behavior. Instead, you ground yourself in your own values. You spend time improving your own life. You build strength, patience, and wisdom. You create goals and work quietly toward them. You develop habits that bring stability. You choose relationships that feel supportive. You create boundaries that protect your heart. And you become someone who carries calmness wherever you go. People sense this calmness. They feel your stability. Some will be inspired by it. Some may distance themselves because they cannot match it. But none of that will disturb your peace, because your peace does not depend on others anymore. It comes from you. The more you focus on yourself, the more your self-awareness grows. The more your confidence rises. The more your mind becomes quiet. You begin to enjoy your own company. You begin to trust your own decisions. You begin to appreciate the present moment instead of constantly worrying about others. This is the freedom Stoicism encourages. A life where you act with intention, think with clarity, and walk with a steady heart. When you stop trying to change others and start focusing on yourself, you finally become the author of your own life. And in that moment, everything begins to change.